sessions we have learnt about basics of image processing, and we tried to cover image processing operations using Python. We have also learned about morphological operations, image segmentation, image restoration, and many other operations of images. Now we are moving towards natural language processing. So this session will be on natural language processing using recurrent neural network. So it's another segment of deep learning and machine learning. And this session will become a basis for another session tomorrow at the same time of image captioning. So we have been learning this session to understand image captioning tomorrow. So to conduct this technical session, we have with us Dr. Mahesh Jangid sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Dr. Mahesh
Yeah.
Jangid sir is assistant professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering, School of Computer and Information Technology, Manipal University. He did his Bachelor of Engineering in Information Technology in 2007 and completed his MTech in Computer Science and Engineering from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Institute of Technology, NIT Jalandhar in 2011. He has completed his PhD from Manipal University, Jaipur in 2018, and currently he has been working as an assistant professor in Computer Science and Engineering Department of Manipal University, Jaipur. His area of interest are data structures, programming languages, image processing. His research interests are pattern recognition, optimal character recognition, and image processing. He has done his MTech thesis dissertation on topic isolated handwritten Devanagari numerical recognition. So I welcome Dr. Mahesh Jangid sir to conduct this technical session. Over to you, Mahesh sir.
So thank you, Deepak ji. I hope my voice is clear to you.
Yes, sir, it is clear.
So very good afternoon, participant of this short-term training program organized by Purnima. So this session is, and this actually program is all about image processing and its application. And one of the application nowadays is very famous is image captioning. In image captioning, basically there are multiple things. That's why we took this session. We are going to pick this session: natural language processing and movie review. So actually, how these two sessions will go, I just explaining all these things. So our final target is image captioning. So basically, the meaning is we need to convert image to text. Okay. So for this task is a little bit very complex. You can see this diagram. So somewhere we will take image, we will process it, and we need to also process some text, and then we need to find some kind of final result. So if I take this image as an example, I need an output from this image like big brown deer sitting like that. Okay. This particular phase, image captioning, actually have three main important things. First of all, we have to understand what is natural language processing, because when we talk about natural language processing, there are many things. The first thing is how to process text, how to process the speech and audio. Many things also come under the natural language processing. So our aim is we will look at how we can process text and how we can achieve sentiment analysis so that we can understand and we can able to understand some part of this particular flow chart. That's why we took this session. We took this session first. After that, we will go to cover machine translation, how text will convert it into a different text or one language to another language. We will also see that part. when we got the understanding of these two topics, then we can start our main topic, image captioning by RNN. So this is somehow the arrangement of the session. So we will first start with natural language processing by the RNN. And into that, we will also talk about what is RNN and all these things. And we will take many examples there, like movie review, like stock prediction, this translation from one language to another language, and then image captioning. So we will take 4 different hands-on session through these tutorials. So first of all, natural language processing, I think, is not new nowadays. It's a very old one, and everybody know about it because many applications we already are using daily in our mobile phone and in laptops as well. But somehow we can just go through a few definitions so that we can get better understanding, and we can use this understanding in image captioning as well. So natural language processing, which is actually application of computational techniques to analysis and synthesis of natural language and speech. So basically, it's all about text and the sound, or you can say audio. More technically, if you talk about, so natural language is a branch of artificial intelligence that helps computers to understand, to interpret, to manipulate the human languages. NLP draws from many disciplines, including computer science, computational, linguistics, and in its pursuit to fill the gap between the human communication and the computer understanding. So that is the basic purpose of the natural language processing. Talk about in a complete scenario, because today we are talking about AI, machine learning, language processing, deep learning. They all are clubbed together. So we can collectively able to see when we talk about natural language processing. Some ML techniques can be used for some ML techniques can be used for natural language processing, and also deep learning is also involved into that. Okay, so this is a picture. We can understand that where is AI, where an NLP stand, and where ML and DL stands. So in this diagram, our aim is this. So we will learn how we can process natural language processing, or how we can learn natural language processing by the help of deep learning techniques only. So why we so important today to go for natural language processing? So this is a very simple example. This is a Twitter comment somebody have done there. So let's say, for example, this is a literally your Facebook Messenger is about by Messenger is useless. You only want it to increase profit. Please fix yourself, and it's said at Facebook. So this is very small content, but from this content you can get many things. Like first thing is emotion. You can calculate the emotion. What is the emotion in this paragraph? Then tone, whether it is negative or subjective, whatever it is. You can identify the tone. You can identify the organization. It is all about Facebook, or it's about Google, or it's about Microsoft. So you can find the organization. This tweet is for which organization. You can also find the product. This particular comments is for which product. Like it's about the Google products, it's about the Facebook products. Many things you can also figure out from there. So all these things you can figure out, and also mention here properly so that you can able to understand the things. And adjectives, the languages, whether it is Hindi or whether it is English, also you can predict all these things. So from these comments, you can predict 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. So this is all about natural language processing and where you can use it. Apart from that, there are many applications like content categorization, like topic discovery and modeling, like contextual extraction, the semantic analysis, which we will going to done, speech to text and text to speech nowadays is very famous, and we all have mobile phone where we can to convert speech to text and text to speech as well. So Google Translator is example of this. Document summarization. Okay, so there are many places where you can use natural language processing. Scene translation. Apart from that, the natural language processing and the text analytics also play a very important role, like investigative discovery, like identifying the patterns, clue in emails, and then written reports, for detect the crime and solve the crimes. Like subject matter expertise, you can classify some kind of content. Social media analytics is nowadays is very important because the social media play a very important role today. Okay, so you can find some kind of wrong and unrequired post. Many things you can analyze because in social media mostly we have a text and images, so we can process the text and we can identify whether it is fine or it's not violate the policy of particular Twitter or Facebook. All these things that can be identified automatically by the help of natural language processing. Apart from that, daily we are getting many things in terms of natural language processing, like we're getting emails in our spam folder. So this is kind of the natural language processing where where the particular software identify the subject line of the particular mail and then identify whether it should be going inbox or whether it should be going spam folder. Like daily we are getting many calls. That call maybe automatically generate an invoice or there's a voicemail to you. Apart from that, daily we are using Google services, Google search engine, where you can automatically find or you can find some guest to search. Like when you write India, then there may be a next text you want to know more about India, or kind of, or maybe we are daily using Amazon and Flipkarts. So whenever you go into the search bar and they automatically suggest you some products as per your interest. So this is all about that. Now we look at deep learning based natural language processing. So natural language processing is have many different parts, but now deep learning makes everything simple. It's make deep learning made the computer vision very simple, also for the same text. So when you look at non deep learning techniques, so there are many parts. Like we have to perform processing, modeling. In modeling, you need to go for feature extraction, then modeling, and then inference, and many things. This is a natural or a traditional way to process any language. But in deep learning, this whole thing is taken care by one model. This is one model which is going to take care of everything. Sorry. So just a minute. So in deep learning, basically we have to perform some kind of a pre-processing, whatever document we have, and then we have to make our model. Model will take care of a lot of things like dependencies, like past information. Many things happen, and we will see later when we go into more depth. And from the output, you can identify many things like sentiment, classification, entity extraction, translation, topic modeling, and many things you can achieve from NLP. So that's why this is mentioned here. Now we look at movie review. So how we will go to make this hands-on. So in movie review, actually what we have actually, so we are going to do some sentiment analysis basically. So we have already a very big data set with us. IMDb dataset is very famous dataset which have lots of reviews about the movies. So basically, we have lots of comments, and according to the comments, we have to identify that comments is positive or negative. Only we are going to classify that thing. So a little bit about IMDb dataset. So IMDb dataset is actually an internet movie dataset, and you will find the dataset at that particular link. It's around 25,000 of movie reviews in training and same in testing. So it's around 50,000 reviews of different movies from different viewers, basically. So the challenge in this dataset is, which we will solve later. So suppose we have a very simple comment about a movie. Suppose somebody commented on this movie. This movie is not very good. Okay. So how I can conclude whether it is a positive or it's a negative. So there are issues that, because if I'm looking at whether I have some kind of a good keyword, if I have a good keyword, then I will say positive. Okay. Or whenever I say bad keyword, I can say negative. But here you have a very good keyword, but still it is not positive because not is there. So it's very challenging. So only one word is not sufficient to say this comment is positive side or negative side. The contents and the words coming before that particular words is also play a very important role. Okay. So we have to look at not, we have to look at very, and we have to look at good. Then we can conclude this comment is negative, not positive. So I hope you are able to understand. We cannot go directly to only look at few words in the comments. You have to understand other comments or other words as well, because that particular positive side word may convert it into negative side if something is written there, not, no, kind of such words. So it's a very challenging. So you have to not to look at only the good, you have to look at previous word as well. So when we go to process this particular string or this particular paragraph, we have to look at the previous characters as well. And this play the role. This note play a role, very important role here. Okay. So we will see how this deep learning or this DNN help us to see that particular thing. The another challenge is the neural networks cannot work with text data. I hope you understand this concept. So the neural network basically, I hope you remember or you have studied it. So neural network means you have a many neurons into a neural network, and they all takes the numeric values anyhow. So whatever text you have, because we are taking a movie review, and movie review definitely will be in any language. It may be Hindi or maybe English or maybe another language, but definitely that will go into a text. So anyhow, we have to convert text into numbers. Okay. So because when we have numbers, then we can use a neural network to process it. Otherwise, we will fail there. So we will look at how we can convert text into the numbers. That is also important thing. We will see later. This is a challenge. The another problem with data set is we have arbitrary length, because when we have this comment have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This have a 6-word length. Okay, but let's say I have another bad movie. So this is only have a 2 comment or 2 words, you can say. So when we receive text or when we receive reviews, they are arbitrary length. And when we work with neural network, again we have to fix the length so that there should be a uniformity that we need to also consider. And I will tell you later how we can maintain that particular fixed length comments and how we can solve this particular problem. So we have three problems with maybe this data set or maybe another data set which you want to process. So this is the one challenge, because if you're looking at only specific word like good, nice, awesome, but they all may be turned up into negative if there's a not awesome, not good, not nice kind of. So you have to look at previous characters as well. Another one is how to convert text into numbers, because we can only process numbers in neural network or in any machine learning technique. We have to come up with the numbers. Another one is arbitrary length, because if we are receiving comments from anyone, length will not be same, because they are human beings and they have their different comments on that, and length will be different. So anyhow, you have to develop some kind of mechanism or any kind of a method through which you will get a same length comment. Fine. So anybody have any concern regarding that, or any challenge you think that it should be included here? Okay, this is fine. So now we look at the flow chart, how we are going to process our text data and how we can get comments, negative or positive. So we will get the reviews. So like this is not a good movie. This is a review. Then we have the tokenizer library in Python, because we are going to solve this by the help of Python. So by the help of tokenizer mechanism, we will convert this word into numbers. Okay, so each word will going to allocate a number. Like this is going to allocate 11, is going to allocate 6, not is going to allocate 21. So we are going in tokenizer step, we are going to convert this text into numbers. Still there is an issue, because this number is not uniform. They are kind of identifiers, or you can say DCL numbers. But when we put into the neural network, there we need a particular range or a particular series of numbers which will be in a particular order or in particular range. And I hope most of you are aware that whenever we talk about neural network, we always keep our values from 0 to 1, and these are not into 0 to 1. So we have to go with embedding concept. We have to convert each number into a particular series of numbers that identify that particular word. So first of all, we have to convert this word into a number like 11, 6, like this. And then further, we need to convert a series of numbers. So it's a kind of a feature extraction, you can see. So this will be a feature kind of, which is going to feed into a neural network. So this is our pre-processing step. This is our pre-processing step. First of all, convert text words into numbers into collection of numbers, you can say, a series of numbers in a range of 0 to 1. Then we will apply the neural network. We will study further what is a neural network. This is our next part to discuss. Then we apply sigmoid function. So sigmoid is a function that convert any number in a range, and this range is 0 to 1. Because whatever we are getting here, let's say we are getting here x. After apply the neural network, we need to convert them into positive side, negative side, so we can keep some threshold here. So if something is below 5, it's negative in that case, and above 5, it's positive. So Sigmund help us to convert this x into a range of 0 to 1, and then we can have some kind of a threshold here, and then we can say whether it is positive or negative, because everything is here is in number. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Please, I am repeating it. The tokenizer steps help us to convert this text into numbers. Then this number is going to convert in a series of numbers. So if I take example so that you will get very clear information here. So this is one word. This word is going to convert into number 11. Now the question is, why 11? Why not something else? Okay, so tokenizer actually calculate a frequency. Suppose you have corpus. Okay, you have corpus of 1,000 words. Because when we're taking input, we are taking multiple comments. And we have to analyze all the comments and we have to make a corpus. In this corpus, we have a movie, good, a, not, is, this, all the possible words we have. Okay. Then in tokenizer, what happened is calculate the frequency of the words in this particular corpus. Suppose this is a very famous word and its frequency is so high, so it comes first. And a have a very so it's a frequency actually. So high frequency number will come in this side and low frequency number will come here in this side. So we can say we can keep here frequency in this domain. So frequency A is very high. So you can see the frequency of A is very high and it's around coming at 3. And E is also very common. Okay, so its frequency is around here. Its frequency is 6. So each frequency is very high. So that's why its number is noted 6. So this tokenizer actually takes all the corpus, calculate their frequency in the our data set, and then make a sequence of them, high frequency to low frequency. Okay, and it's assigning a sequence number, and that is this number. Fine. So now you converted this into 11 as per their frequency. Fine. Now we are converting this 11 into a series of numbers like 0.2, 0.6 like this, and in the range of 0 to 1 almost. So this is now turned up into a feature, you can say, series of words, and the length of all the words is again same. So when you feed this information into a neural network, then there is no issue. Okay, fine. Now we move further and we look at the recurrent neural network, how neural network is, and what are the advantages, all such kind of things. So when we talk about recurrent neural network, so this keyword is additional. So neural network means this is a neural network. You have multiple neurons and they are connected, and when you pass any information, it will go in this forward direction. But in case of recurrent means this particular information is repeating here. So I'm using some information from here to here to manipulate my information here. Suppose I feed 1 here, and some part of it I can take here, like 0.5, and 0.5 is going here, and next time I'm taking 2 here. This is next input. So this 0.5 is help us to find the next value of this particular neuron. Okay, as I told you that not very good. So when I process this information and this information and this information and then I go out of this, so this not help us here to say positive or negative. If I'm not taking this consideration, I'm not able to say it is positive or negative. But if I'm taking consideration of this information due to the feedback system in recurrent neural network, I can say this is a negative review. Okay, so in that fashion, it helps us to manipulate correct information. That is the advantage of recurrent neural network. So whenever we have any time series data, like signal, like stock prediction, okay, like text, okay, like language, okay. So we have to process many information. We have to consider past information as well, because past information plays very important role here. If I'm not taking consideration of past information, then my result will going to wrong. Okay, so in neural network, in recurrent neural network, we have a kind of feedback system with this. So we say like this. So we're getting information from the past information. Okay, so there are many applications where you can see the uses of recurrent neural network, and they are also different, like one to many. So in neural network, you can feed one information and you will get multiple information. So image captioning is an example of such models. So in that case, you are feeding one image and you will get multiple text output. Like you will get here the black and here white here. Okay, like this. So one image, but you're getting multiple words. So this is one to many model. We apply one to many model here. It may be many to one as well. So our movie review is actually many to one. We are feeding multiple text like this is a not a good movie. Okay, we are feeding multiple text and we are getting one output, whether it is positive or whether it is negative. So in that case, our model is many to one. Apart from that, when we talk about translation, like in Hindi to English or any other language, we are feeding multiple words and we are getting multiple words out of it. Because length of word here and length of word here will definitely different. So it is M, then I may get M here, and M and anyhow they will not be equal. It may be equal sometimes, it depends on sentence, but more or less each language have its own way to construct the sentence. Definitely it may be different in most of the cases. One more many to many model we can consider here, like frames understanding. So let's say you have a movie, a small clip, and transforming in another movie. Like you have a movie of a human being, and you converting that movie into cartoon. You can see. Okay, so we have many applications in a mobile phone today where we can capture a human being photo and it's converting into in a different animation. So where we are getting multiple images and we are getting equivalent, you can say these are the M's and these are the N's, equivalent images. So this also the recurrent neural network also work for that particular purpose. So converting a movie clip into a different dimension or different way, like human being movie into cartoon movie, like this. So these are the few applications of neural network and different models used for the particular problem. So far we have seen that the recurrent neural network is actually represented in this way, but it's a very very concise representation. But actually, when we expand this, reality is this. So we are seeing that this arrow is coming towards the same particular unit, we can say computing unit, but it's not like that. You have multiple units, and this unit is feeding something here, this unit feeding something here, and this unit feeding something here. So suppose we are taking the same comment like not good movie. Okay, so here this not will feed something here to this particular neuron. So means is getting, let's say, saying 1 or like that, whatever it is, and you are taking this good here. So when you use this value and you will use this value, this two value help us to predict output from here. So whether by this you can pass the real value. Suppose if I'm not considering it, I am saying good, it's fine, it should be 1, output should be 1. It's a very high. And when I considering this, okay, because this is not, and this is negative sentiment, it feeds something. We can say we are taking something from here, and now I need to manipulate the value. So I can say now it is 0. Now good have no impact here because not is available before that. So the final output is 0. So it's negative. So this is a very simple example how things play here. Okay, I hope I'm very clear to you. So if I have some past information, and they play a role there, that particular neuron is giving something to that particular next computing unit, and that information suppress, you can say, suppress the impact of that particular word. So this is a good, and it's a really a important keyword for us if we are going to say positive review, negative review, but will not make no sense for us to say positive. Fine. So you may have a multiple sequence of such kind of architectures. So this is one sequence. You have multiple sequence of computing there. So it's very simple. This is start and end kind of mark, and this somewhere we pass some information to the next neuron. This information helps this neuron or computing unit to pass further information and to get some output. So now I am moving in this particular section. What is A here actually? So this A is actually have such kind of things inside it, like input, like we can say all state. We have a gate here that help us to determine the output. So we are feeding input, we are getting output. This is very simple system. But in between, what happened, that is important. So suppose you are feeding good and you are getting 1, it's fine. But if your all states, okay, it's have a note inside it, that all states information help us to take this good and not help us to find the impact final. So it will be 0. So when you feed good, but you have already not inside your states, that help us to find the output of that good statement. Fine. So this is the internal structure of recurrent neural network. So I can note it A. So this A we are expanding here and we are understanding it. What is inside A? So in A, actually we have different variations like LSTM and GRU. We will discuss later, but they have such kind of things inside them: gates and old state, new state. So old state means what has processed by this particular neuron before, and this new will help us for next computation. And this gate help us to consider whether I need to consider old state or not. This gate help us to do that. So this gate is not so much kind of things, like they are simple plus and multiply. Okay, so here I use multiply. Why? Because I'm using multiply here. If this not is say 0, and I will multiply with this good, so 0 multiply good, you will get 0. Okay, if this whole state say 1, then when you multiply 1 into good, you will find a good. Likewise, this one gate help us to take or consider the input or not, kind of. This is a very simple example, not exactly like this, but it somehow go like way, in this way. So I hope it is very clear to you that how we can consider not which before the good in consideration, with only due to the feedback kind of arrangement we have, or you can say we can store old and new states and we are getting some feed from other computing units. So anyone have any doubt or any question in their mind, we can take them right now. Okay, it's fine. So so far we have seen only a simple model, but your model may be very complex. Like this is not a very good movie. You can feed them in multiple recurrent units, and you will get some kind of positive or negative output. Apart from that, there may be possibility that you may have multiple recurrent units to process the data. So it not mean that you only one recurrent unit, you may have multiple recurrent units, and then finally you will get some kind of output. So this recurrent unit is feeding something here, and this particular unit is getting input and feeding, and then it's giving some output, and also giving some output to this, or you can say not output, you can say feed to that neuron that help us to process that particular data. Like this not help us to calculate the output of this and this. Okay, so here you say not and say very, so it's very high negative, you can say high negative, and this good will also convert it into negative because you're taking that something is feeding from backside. So this particular feedback is telling this neuron it's getting some kind of negative reviews or negative not, or kind of such reverse kind of keywords before good. Apart from that, in case of recurrent networks, we are getting many problems. One of the major problem is vanishing problem. Vanishing something is going to finish like that. So we have we have seen so far This is a structure. So if we have such a structure and we are passing information from here to here to here, whether I'm passing information x, I'm passing information x1, I'm passing information x2, x3, and x4. So when I'm passing information and the information here is multiplying someone, so I hope you remember such kind of things. Let's say you have 2 and you multiply with that. So when you multiply this particular part with this, so it's going to reduce. Okay, so it's going to become 0.2. Then again you multiply with this 0.2, then again this is going to reduce. Likewise, so this is called vanishing. So when you compare this and this, it's very small. So in such way, this x is very strong. But when you go out of it from every neuron, this impact of x is going to reduce. This is called a vanishing problem. So if value of x or this w, you can say, is in decimal, because more or less in neural network we process decimal values. So if it is if it is this value is in points and is going to multiply, and that particular value is going to decrease separately. So this is vanishing problem. Okay. So if so here I can tell you more things. So if it is this is fine. If suppose you have a 2 and it's going to multiply with, let's say, 2. So when you multiply this, you are getting 4. Then again you multiply with 2, then you are again getting 8. Then again you multiplying, then you are getting 16. Now you compare the things. So initially you have 2. Now after some time, because after some time, if the value which you are feeding, this is a weight you can say which we are feeding, is in more than 1. If it is more than 1, then it's enhancing the value. So we compare this 2 and this 16 is so high, so we call it exploding. So there are two types of problems. If you set the value w, this is the value w, below 1, then there is a problem. So if the value of w which is feeding the network is small, then it's going to reduce the value. This is vanishing. And if you're taking more than 1, it's exploding. So in both the cases, we are getting problem. So what is the solution? We look at the solution. So let me just finish it. So if we take this, remember this thing. So if we take w is small, then vanishing problem will occur. And we take it large, then exploding problems will occur. Fine. So there are many things how we can go with exploding and vanishing. Okay, so now I will explain you exploding and vanishing issues after some slides. First of all, we need to discuss the very important point is LSTM and GRU. So I hope you remember here is RUI, recurrent units. This recurrent units is very logical. So here you have two options. You can have a LSTM setup, or you can GRU setup, and both are a little bit different internally. So we will discuss that, and then I will tell you vanishing and the problem when you understand the actual units. So this is the picture inside the LSTM and GRU. So in LSTM, we have actually multiple units inside it. So we have different gates. This is gate 1, gate 2, and gate 3. So they help us to process the information which is arrived here. So this is a forget gate. It means when things will come here, they will going to multiply here. If value is 0, the value is 0, and something is coming here, which is going to become 0. Likewise, this set the value that you will set it or reset it, kind of. So if it is 1, then this value will move towards further. So in the same way, you have multiple functions and the computing units inside a cell. And this red and blue is actually different functions. This red is actually a sigmoid function, and this blue is actually a tangent function. So we will see why we need to have a sigmoid function and why we need to have a tangent function. So this is the internal structure of LSTM, and this is the internal structure of GRU. So this actually introduced in 1997, and this is recently introduced in 2014. Okay. So the basic difference between these two diagrams is this is less complex. You have a less computation here as compared to LSTM. And the scientists and researchers found that we can compute for same accuracy by the help of GRU as well. So anyhow, the conclusion from these two units is when we take GRU perform faster than LSTM. Anyhow, there is no concern about accuracy. So it's depend on your data set, whether you are getting accuracy better in LSTM or in GRU. It's up to the setup of the system, and it's depend on the data set. But yes, anyhow, the speed is high for GRU because it's have a less computation. Fine. So this is a little about summary LSTM and GRU. Now we look at how actually the particular vanishing problem and then the exploding problem is tackled in the RNN. For that, I just need to take a small website that will help you to understand this concept, because by the animation it's good to understand the things. So see this picture. So if you are feeding some values and they are moving into the system in RNN system, this 5 is moving, becoming 15, and 15 becoming 45, and then 135 and moving ahead. Okay. So this is actually a exploding problem. Values are increasing. So how this tackled in the RNN, we used here one function 10. Okay, tangent function. The tangent function keep the value in the range of 0 to -1 to 1. We can see now 5 is turned into 1, 1 is turned into 0.99, and then 0.9 is again keeping here. So this function plays a role here. I hope it is clear to you. And also you can see here how actually the 10 works. So this tangent function keep the value in the range of -1 to 1. So the exploding problem will tackle care. And the vanishing problem is also taken care, because whenever the values is going down, they will be in the range of -1 to 1 always. They will not go beyond that. Okay. So the vanishing and the exploding problems both will take care by this tangent function. So anybody have any doubt up to that level?
Sir, hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Sir, please kindly explain each and every component of LSTM through an example so that we can know what is the main contribution of multiplication and addition, all those things.
So, okay, I got your concern. So the first which we need to remember always that because I think you heard these problems vanishing and exploding. So this one function help us to do that. And you can see the example. I have also included the link in next slide. So this tangent function help us to keep the value in the range. Fine. Okay, so let me go ahead so that we can get all the things. So this is a kind of architecture of LSTM where we have multiple components, and these components you have to understand. So this is actually a sigmoid function, and sigmoid function keep value in the range of 0 to 1. Please remember this thing because it's help us to understand. Sigmoid function always keep the values in from 0 to 1. So this is a 10 function. This is sigmoid function. And your tangent function always keep the values in the range of 1 to -1. So it's help us to avoid the vanishing problem and exploding problem. So whenever you have something and that is going to pass, which is again, going to in the range of -1 to 1. Fine. Now, let me just walk through into the LSTM so that you can able to understand this all are actually a computing inside the one LSTM. So far, I hope you remember the neural network. The neural network is actually a combination of multiple neurons. Because if I take that particular example, then you can understand what is going on inside it. So let's say X1, X2, and X3. So these are the inputs to a neuron, and we are getting some output. If I see what is happening here, so somehow you can keep like this. We have a sigma function X and W plus B. I hope you remember. So this is a one unit. So neuron is single unit. It processes the weight and bias. Okay, so it's getting multiple inputs and with weights. And when we make equation for a neuron, it turn up into in this way. So you can say I and I0 to N. So you are multiplying multiple inputs with their weights and bias, and you will be able to find the output of that particular neuron. Fine. But here, this LSTM unit. Okay, so let me just unit itself have multiple computing units. So it's not exactly same like neuron. Neuron is even actually a computing unit. So we have multiple computing units here. And it's not so much complex. It's the same like we have in neurons. So multiplication and addition happen, nothing else. So also you can observe what is happening here. You can see one addition happening here, multiple multiplication happening here, and one activation function working here. Same thing happening here at multiple places. Like here we are getting input X, we are taking hidden state input which is going to feed here. Let me just show you the animation so that it's very clear to you how things is going and what is the meaning of that particular. Okay, so I hope you are able to see this particular diagram. So here you can see the X and H is coming, and then they are feeding to the sigmoid function. That sigmoid function provides or producing output in the range of 0 to 1. When you get something from 0 to 1, that help us to decide whether you want to consider this C value in the path or not. Okay, so this is the job of this unit. The same way, the job of this unit is again same, but we are taking it here. But the output of this unit is different. So likewise, they are all processed their own way. And this all processing help us to consider the previous value or the feedback from the another units, and to release a new output and the feed to the new system, or you can say next neuron. Fine. So what we are releasing here, we are producing output of this computation, and we are also getting output or kind of feedback to next neuron. Apart from that, you can also see here in this animation how the information is going to process. So you are getting X and H and X values, and they are moving, and you're getting new values here, and then you are multiplying, and then only you are taking their multiplied value. And whatever is coming here and whatever is coming here, they are going to add up for next information. And then also we are considering here. So it's a kind of a computing here. No one can tell you how this computing works for your data set, because all things are depend on the training. Suppose we are feeding not a good movie. Okay, so how not play the role to suppress the effect of good. This is all about training. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Somebody asked me any question, so that Reddy can come up. He she will get the answer or not.
Yes, sir.
So the thing is, because you are asking me how these units play the role.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the answer for your question is, no one cannot identify which exactly the unit is play the role. The training phase, tune the system, because like not how not play the role to suppress the output of good. So it's all about training and to set up the things. That's it. So this is the fixed setup of LSTM, and you can also see we are processing at multiple places. When you perform training, the training job is to settle down all the computings so that the role of computing may be fixed, so that I am getting my correct output. Fine. So further you can see how things may work for you. So this article is very fantastic. It will gonna tell you everything about the units and the importance of these functions. So our aim, because this cross, this plus is not a so much complex operation. These are simple multiplication. This multiplication, this plus is addition, nothing else. But yes, these circles are important. Why I need to use activation function here, which we need to understand. So why we have this and this? To reduce the effect of vanishing and exploding. And why we are sigmoid? So that we can fix the output of that particular unit into 0 and 1 that help us to multiply. We can see here I'm multiplying, here I'm multiplying, and here I'm multiplying. Before multiplication, I'm using sigmoid function. And sigmoid function, turn up things into 0 and 1 that help us to multiply and to suppress the output of that particular next operand. So let's say you want to consider this value further or not. That is depend on what you get from there. So if you're getting 0, this is not going to consider. If you're getting 1, then you are going to consider it. So I hope it is clear to you. So let me just move forward because we understand every part of it. This is actually numericals, how things happen there. We can see there are only the multiplications and addition, nothing else. Okay, so far we have discussed LSTM. Same way, we can look at the GRU. So gated recurrent unit, we call them. So they have in such type of structure. Okay, so far we have discussed the RNN, somehow small part of the natural language processing in this application. Now we look at how we can use recurrent or LSTM to predict the stock price. So I'm taking into the hands-on session. So first of all, I am just opening what I have in my training and testing data set so that we can able to figure out what we are going to do. So in training data set, okay, so I have actually a price of Google stock in dollars. So it's about 2012. So I have 3 different values for Google stock: open, high, low, and close. But in my experiment, I will take only one value. So my problem is regression. Okay. So we know that we are not talking about stocks. So suppose if I say that you need to predict stock price for tomorrow. So how you can go about it? You can see the trend of a particular range. If you know the trend of particular range, then you can predict the next value. So somehow we have to observe my past information, because this past information help us to predict new value. So what will be the next value? What will be the predicted value of Google stock? These all past values play the role. Am I right? So I need to anyhow take them as a feed to produce a next value. If I'm not considering this value, then I cannot predict correct value for future. Fine. So I'm using RNN to predict the value. So I'm back to again on my training data set. So this training data set have open, high, and low. So I will only consider open values. So I will take few values. For example, I can take 60 values. Okay. And I try to predict next value, because I have to do like a process which make my system to go to consider the past values to predict new value. So that I need to fix out. Whether I need to take a range of 60 days, whether I need to have to take this range of 100 days, which I need to define. So this particular training data set have around, I hope it's around 1258 values, because first is header, which around have 1200 values of different years. Fine. In the same way, in testing, I have a value from after that. Before 17, I have value in my training, and testing, I will test the values after 2017. So after 2017, I keep all the values here. So what I will do, I will train my system by the training data set. Then I will take my this testing data set, and I will compare this value and my value which is predicted by the system, and I will compare. Okay, so let me just open my code. Okay, so this code will be shared by you. There's no issue as such, so do not worry about the code and all. So first of all, I need to just upload my data set to my folder in Google Colab. I hope you aware about the Google Colab. So Google Colab is a free machine learning kind of tool and deep learning tool where you can easily process your Python code. So I uploaded my training and test data, which I need to take from Excel sheet to my system. So we'll see how we will go about it. So, first of all, I just need to read it. So in Python, we have pandas. So by the help of this library, I will read this CSV file. These CSV files, so I can read them in dataset train. And in dataset train, actually, I have all the values like open, close, low, and all these things. As I told you that I will only go to take open values. Okay, because when I go to regression, I need to take only single value. I will not consider other values. So I extract these values I mentioned here. Then only the training values will be there in training data set, and you can see the values. Okay, so these are the values in my training data set. After that, I need to perform some kind of scaling, because as you know that these values are not in a range. Because as I told you that when we talk about neural network, we have to pass values in the range of 0 to 1. And these values are not in 0 to 1. So somehow I need to fix it. So for that, I need to sklearn library, and I need to find min and max scaler that help us to keep all the values in the range of 0 to 1. So I will remember min max scaler or min max function, which is also available in other language. So by the help of this, I will scale my value in 0 to 1. Fine. Next, what I need to do? I need to fix the range. How many values I will feed to my system. As I told you that whether I need to go with 60 value, whether I need to go take with 100 value, or whatever my range. So I need to make my system in this way, so I can take 60 values and I'll predict next value. Then I will take last 60 values and next 60 values. For that, I just need to explain this thing. So suppose I have values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I have continuous values. So I need to fix the last 4 values I will take, and I will predict this. Okay, because when I train my system, I will tell you that these values will help us to predict this. And the same way, then again I need to take next 3 values, 4, 5, and 6, and I will say predict this value. Then I will take next 3, 4, 5, 6 to predict 7. So I need to convert this one-dimensional data set into 2-dimension. I hope you understand, because this is a one-dimensional data set, and I fix my period because it's a time series data. and all do the times. So I need to take this 4 values, and this time I need to fix. Right now I am fixing it 4. In my example of Google Stop, I fix it 60. So I will take first 4 values and I will predict this. Then I will take next 4 values 2, 3, 4, 5, and I predict 6. Then I will take next 4 values and I predict next values. Likewise, I need to make my single dimensional data set to multi-dimensional data set. You can say 1D2, 1D2, 2D. Because I feed in my system, I need to feed X2, X60 values. And next 61 to next whatever 120 values. I hope it is clear to you. So to making it in this way, I prepared this code, and also you can figure out. So this is for loop and ranging from 60 to 1258. As I told you that I have a range of 1258. Then I appending in X train and Y train. So now you can able to understand whenever we have a data set, we have a X train and Y train. So X train is a training and Y is a label. Okay. So this particular this is actually going to be a label. This will be a training data set and this will be a label. I hope you remember. Anybody have any question? Okay. So I prepared my data set into the training and the label Y. So one dimensional data set will become now 2 dimensional. And I have to reshape it and I can print here. So 1198 values in my training data set and 60 values I have for each data set or each row, you can say. Fine. So I have 1198 training samples, you can say, and the length of training sample is 60. Anybody have any doubt here? Okay, fine. So remember this thing. I have a matrix which have a 1198 samples, and each sample, training sample, have a 60 values. Fine. Now it's time to make a model. So I need to import all this, and you can go and see all this thing. So first of all, in Keras, we have to use a sequential function that make a sequential model. Then I need to add LSTM layer. LSTM we have to pass actually how many LSTM units you want. Somebody have anything? Need to mute themselves because we are getting sound from outside. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So LSTM, we understand that LSTM is a unit which have multiple units into it, and we need to decide how many units you need for that training. So I pass 50, and it's my choice. You can change it as we want. Then return sequence we have to true here, and then we have to pass the input shape. So input shape we have already in our X train. So X train 1, this give you X value and the 1. So it's fine now. And we are adding dropout layer also. So it's your choice whether you want to add it or not. And if you do not know about dropout, so I'm telling you, the dropout layer is automatically off a few units of LSTM or neural network, so that the system will not, go, you can say, off it. So it's a kind of a way to remove, or you can say say overfitting case. And then again I'm adding one more LSTM units, 50, the same way. Then again I'm adding one more LSTM units, 50, the same way. So now I have 3 different layers of LSTM. First have 50, next have 50, and next have 50. Finally, I will add dense layer where I will get only one output, because my aim is to say the what is the value of the stock for the particular range. And further I need to fix optimizer. So optimizer, you have multiple choice here, like Adam optimizer, RMS prop, multiple, and we are going to find mean square error, so that my system will go to find mean square error, and again it will go to reduce it anyhow. Then I will fit the model. For that I will pass xtrain, ytrain. Xtrain have a training data set, ytrain have a label of the particular data set. Then I need to fix epochs, then I need to fix the batch size. Fine. Okay, so when I run my model, so it will go up to 100 iteration. So let me just go after that. Okay. So then I need to process my the predictions. So I need to again take it my testing data set, because I'm not going to test my training data set the same way. Testing data set the same way I done in the starting, how I read the training data set. Same way I will go to read my test data set by the same function. Fine. And again I have to reshape it. And also I need to perform transformation, which I applied after the reading of test data set. Then again I need to convert that particular data set into 2 dimension, as I told you, in 60-60 range. Then I need to see the things, and I trained. So here actually this is predict function. So this predictor function will predict the value for my test data set by the help of training, and then I need to inverse it. So because I getting the values in the range of 0 to 1, and then I perform reverse transformation so that I can get actual values. So when I plot them, you can see the impact. Fine. So this red line showing you the Google actual price, and this blue line is our predicted value. Okay, definitely it's not same, because it is not so easy to predict the stock market price. Otherwise everybody become a rich man. So anyhow, we just take this to understand the concept, and we can apply this concept in anywhere else. So we can get some kind of a good results over there. And also, you can only see is kind of a small trend. So you can see the actual value is going up, our value is also going up, and then the real values is going slowly, gradually they are normal, and our value is also going normal. And then you can also see this trend also. The actual values are going up, and our predictions also going up. So somehow we can correlate, and we can say ki anyhow it's not 100% exact same, but yeah, it's around 50% exact same, and anyhow we can go for some kind of decision. Okay, so I hope all you have understand this. If anybody have any doubt here, because we are going to shortage of
Hello.
time. Yeah, ma'am. Hello.
Sir, I am having a query here.
Yeah.
Sir, in case if I am having a huge data set, which
Okay.
I am training, and since Google Colab only give me 12 hours.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there is issue.
Yeah. So, can you just tell us how to insert the checkpoints, or how to start our training once my duration is complete and my epoch iteration is not completed.
Okay, so the checkpoint thing, I will take it tomorrow actually. So
Okay.
so I will tell you about it, how you can keep the checkpoints and you can save them.
Okay, and so one more query here. Actually, I was doing some training over my data set and I
Mhm.
passed the image size and I got the error stating that resource exhausted error. What
In
does that
Google
error
Colab.
mean? Yes, Google Colab.
Yeah, sometime actually it's about actually this, the Google Colab is actually free version,
Mm-hmm.
and there may be limited resources, you know that. So
But
sometime
it was suggesting to change the image size that I am passing for training and validation.
uh, I'm got your concern, but sometime we have to observe the code, and then I can say something like that. I am not able to understand that where you getting some kind of issue, because
Okay, okay.
also you can able to see that we have a 38, let's say we have around 90 GB space here,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
in RAM we have limited space.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So maybe your RAM is going to full, or maybe things happen.
Okay, okay.
So
Sir,
RAM
actually, I
issue,
was using ResNet 50 for
yeah.
training my data, and for
Mhm.
I was passing some 50,000 images
I
as
go
my
to
training
concern.
data.
Yeah. So it maybe your RAM is going so high, so that's why it's giving you error. So you can check your RAM when you run your program.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow you can you get some kind of clue that maybe your RAM is getting full, or what's happening up there.
Okay,
So
okay.
what you can do,
Mm-hmm.
so you can break your image data set into multiple sets,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go one by one with those. Let's say you have a data set one, and you can break them into four,
Okay.
and then you can train first set, and then you save the weights.
Mm-hmm.
Then again you can reload your data
Mm-hmm.
next set, and then you can reload the weights, and you can go
Mm-hmm.
with training.
Okay.
So
Sir,
that
will you
way,
be covering that part tomorrow?
we are covering image. We will take data set, but we will not covering that particular set. You have to break the
Okay.
images into multiple sets. So that is not a big concern,
Uh-huh.
because in case of neural network, or any CNN, we can save the weights anytime, and then we can reload it.
Okay.
So yeah, so your concern is you have to change the images as well.
No, no, I don't have to change the images. Actually, I
Yeah,
am running the epochs.
no, it's fine, but your image data set is so long, that's why you're getting
Mm-hmm.
maybe problem.
Okay.
So that is all
So
about yeah. So my
you
suggestion
will
is
suggest.
so part by part you can also go there.
Okay, sir, definitely. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, hello sir. Good morning. Good
Yeah,
afternoon, sir. Mhm.
good afternoon, sir. Sir, I have one doubt. This is a time series data. The example what you showed is, and there
Yeah,
are 1258, data points.
yeah,
And while training the model, we just did some transformation for the
yes,
data set, and you block,
yes.
in the 60
Yeah,
observations. Yeah,
definitely.
training, and then the next one as a class level for them means it's a regression problem. So the prediction value. So here, because what we are thinking is the previous 60 time points are essential to predict the next time point. That is what the
Yeah.
the hypothesis we are taking.
Mhm.
But we can is there any way to find the optimum, because we may get better curve fitting curve in 30 also or 10 also.
Yeah, yeah,
They
definitely.
like directly in LSTM without splitting this, because it becomes a general regression problem. Now we can run any machine learning model on this to predict,
Yeah.
because we have the matrix and 60 by 1250 dimensions.
Sir, just let me finish this. There is no way to go with that. It's experimental work. So nobody can tell you, or nobody can fix it that 60 is better or 30 is better. For that, we have to perform experiment, because by the system, we can able to understand. Yeah, 60 is fine for me. because today we have deep learning models, and what they are doing inside it, nobody can tell you.
Okay.
Because yeah, so it's all experimental. So how we can go? We can go with 30, we can go with 60, we can go with 120, and then we can observe what is the trend. So if you trend in positive side, we can go with more details, like we can take 140 values or like that, or we can reduce our trend. So it's all about experiments, sir.
Actually, my doubt is like, when we transform the data, we are making it a typical class machine learning problem. So when we have a data in such form, we can use like SVM or random forest or any other algorithm, because we are already splitting the data, taking the 60-60 observations, and then we are making one label which has to be predicted. So how, if we have to do that, then there are so many other algorithms also. Is there, I was asking, like just input we give and the LSTM, because I don't have much experience in working with RNNs.
Yeah, I'm just one point I need to include here, that because before, when I was also doing my MTech in 2011, at that time there was no kind of deep learning approaches at that time. We have to go with traditional way, like pitch extraction or random forest and all these things. But today you can see, you can observe that the deep learning plays a very important role there in the research now, because here we can go exhaustively. We can compare all the trials, all the things, possible values. Actually, somehow you have a numbers in any format, and we have to convert things again into numbers in our regions. So these deep learning models, take all the possible cases which human beings cannot do. Like in computer vision, I worked there. So I also worked in factory organization. So in factory organization, what we need to make, we need to consider some kind of features, and whatever features you can make, what you can see. Okay, so we cannot go beyond our mind. But when we apply deep learning, they can go beyond our mind. Things which we cannot see, things we cannot perceive, that can be done by the deep learning. That is the advantage we are getting, and that's why you can take any example of any problem. It may be medical, or it may be computer vision, or it may be machine translation as well. The deep learning play very vital role there. That's why Google, Microsoft, Facebook, everybody is towards the deep learning scenario, because we can observe the problem of Google is different and Facebook one is different, because Google translation is somehow convert voice into another voice, or text into another text. Machine translation, the Facebook understand the images so that it can able to tag them, and you can also hide if there is no proper photos there. So problems are different, but still they all use deep learning models, because that's only a way through which you can go deeper and beyond the human being power.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you. Anyone ask you any question? You can ask now. So, Deepakji,
Yes, sir. Now we can close this session, sir.
yeah. You can ask some participant if they have any query. They can ask. Otherwise, we'll take continuously tomorrow.
Sir, one question from my side.
Yeah, ma'am. Please.
Sir, actually, we are having RNN, we are having LSTM and GRD also.
Yeah.
So, could you please explain which kind of application is suitable to which kind of techniques?
Then, yeah, let me just finish in a very quick manner. So, actually, the RNN is actually a concept. Okay, in RNN we have a recurrent units. In recurrent units we have a two choice. And this is LSTM and GRU. Okay, so the first thing where we need to apply RNN. So we can apply RNN where we have a time series data. Okay, and wherever we need to take some kind of feedback from previous data, like translation or like movie review. So we have seen, so far we have seen that if I have a movie review, like not a good movie, so good is a positive side, but not is a negative side. So somewhere, if I need to take some kind of feedback system to predict the next value or to compute the next unit, where I can use the RNN. So simply I can say wherever we have time series information, there we can apply RNN. When we apply RNN, we have two choices. We can go with LSTM and we can go with GRU. So that we cannot, or no one can tell you about it, because that is depend on the experiment. So because the GRU is the latest one, because GRU was introduced in 2014 and this LSTM introduced in 1997. So somehow definitely you will get some kind of good accuracy with GRU in very small time as compared to LSTM. So experiments said that the GRU gives same performance as LSTM in very fast manner or in a very small time. Is it fine, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And sir, just like we have seen, the LSTM and GRU are having some some sigmoid and 10H function and some kind of multiplication and additions are there. If we will do some kind of research work, then we can change the equation and we can
Definitely. Yeah.
do the see the performance, whether it is good or whatever we proposed it was good or it was likely to be better than this technique. So we can do that. But
Yeah, absolutely, madam. This diagram, are you able to see the diagram?
yes, sir.
So this diagram is actually a code, nothing else. Okay. So you
Okay,
can
sir.
change anything in this. So you can change 10 function, you can change sigmoid function, somewhere you can see sigmoid function you can change. So you can change, there's no issue as such.
Okay,
So,
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So, sir, now we can close, I think.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Right, sir. Thank you very much. I extend my sincere thanks to Mahesh Jangid, sir, for this wonderful session on LSTM, GRU. And we have also learned about basics of natural language processing and recurrent neural network, and which will become basis of image captioning tomorrow. So I'm very thankful to you, sir, and looking forward your session tomorrow also.
So thank you very much, everyone, and we will see more because we have three different hands-on sessions tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Thank you and good day.
Thank you very much, sir. So now we are closing session 3 of day 2, and tomorrow there will be 3 sessions again at 10 o'clock. The first session is on artificial neural network. So we are introducing ANN tomorrow, and then because of this ANN, we will learn applications of ANN using document image classification, second session, and then image captioning using recurrent neural network in the last session. So we are expecting your participation again on day 3 with the thrilling experience of ANN, document image classification and image captioning. So I'm very thankful to all the participants for sparing their time and learning from these short-term training program. Thank you very much. And now you can leave, and looking forward to join back at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you very much.